Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane Kay. Today, I'll be giving my commentary on Sister Wives, Season 19, Episode 12, Put Your House in Order. The episode opens with Cody sobbing as he embraces Mary. It's super awkward for Jen and Nathan. Nathan can't watch the car wreck. He turns his back. It's a really awkward, bizarre moment. Really, this moment should be all about Mary, but as usual, Cody makes it about himself, about his emotions. His emotions take center stage. His self-pity takes center stage. His ego always takes precedence. Cody thanks Mary for being cool as he jokes that maybe, just maybe, they can be besties now. You know, does Cody have dementia? Does he not recall the past decade and how cruelly he treated Mary? Cody was intentionally cruel over and over. On the show, towards Mary, he said vile things. He was vile and foul as fuck, saying horrible things about the mother of his child, who sacrificed a lot for he and his favorite wife, Robin. Cody now wants to be besties with Mary, and he wants to stay on good terms, in my opinion, in fear that she will out just how toxic he was, even off camera. If this is the Cody we see on camera, imagine what he does in private. The things Cody has said over the years about Mary, the way he abandoned her, melted the ring, took all he could from her. Gladly, he took all he could from her, including the roof currently over his head. And now, because he fears Mary, because he feels threatened by what she could potentially say about him, he compliments her. He wants to walk her down the aisle. He wants to be besties. He calls her the favorite ex-wife, saying maybe they can be friends. You know, Cody really doesn't seem to recognize that he hurt Mary majorly. He betrayed her as a husband. He abandoned her long before the catfish sitch. He was needlessly cruel to Mary, and she gave and gave and gave to he and Robin, and she got nothing in return. And now Cody wants to say maybe they can be besties, now that she is no longer the thorn in his side. He's only trying to stay friendly to try to keep Mary's mouth shut so he doesn't have to feel the repercussions when people find out the extent of what a toxic dick face he is with the way he treated his ex-wives and his children. In my opinion, Cody has zero self-awareness. He's insulting, he's selfish, and he has the nerve to jokingly suggest friendship when over the past decade he treated Mary worse than he would his worst enemy. He wants Mary to be manipulated. He wants to stay on good terms with Mary, and we really haven't seen him take a shred of accountability for anything but really stringing her along for the past, I don't know how many years. Cody really is just doing this because he fears what Mary would say, and he wants to try and swindle her out of her fair share of the land and the money that would be owed to her from potential sales of the land, in my opinion. Mary is owed apologies for much more than Cody stringing her along from Cody. And Cody really wants to disregard the accountability part, but he wants to manipulate Mary a little, and he wants to be friends, and he wants her to see the old charming side of him that she fell in love with. Give her just a crumb, just a glimpse of it, so that she will stay on good terms with him, so she's more easily able to be manipulated. So he thinks he can try to pull the wool over her eyes and manipulate her and swindle her, in my opinion. He wants to disregard taking any accountability completely, and he wants to just be friends. And oh, Mary's the favorite ex-wife. Is he really serious? Is he really serious? Cody explains that he feels this emotional moment, sobbing with Mary, the hug, the tears. And Cody says this is him moving away from the anger to this moment of grief. This should have been Mary's moment, and Cody made it about himself. Cody says he wants to own it. He wants to own this feeling of grief. He wants to feel it. He wants to feel safe with it. And then he wants to begin healing. So Nathan, Cody's friend, who felt so awkward that he literally looked like he was cringing in the corner with his back turned, when they leave the house, he tells Cody, that his display with Mary was emotional X-lax. And I find that so interesting considering how constipated Kotex always looks. He totally shit all over Mary in that moment. Cody's ridiculous, and Cody replies to Nathan that it's more like permission to move on. He explains that he knows he and Mary are divorced. This is the end, but Cody now hopes that they will have their friendship and that they will get along. In this moment, Cody realizes this is the end of his family right here, right now. So Cody says that this teary goodbye, it didn't just confuse Mary, Nathan was confused by it too. So Nathan asked Cody if he was sure about this divorce with Mary because of how emotional Cody got with the sobbing. So Cody tells Nathan that if he doesn't understand by now, he doesn't know that he will ever be able to make Nathan understand this and that this is right. Cody is sure, he is certain this is right. This is what Cody wanted, to be free from his obstacles to his goals in life. Cody wants this. For Cody, this is right. If those tears meant anything, it was Cody feeling sorry for himself, Cody pitying himself, making this all about him, taking this moment away from Mary, wanting Mary to coddle and comfort him. And also it's Cody feeling relief. Relief is probably what Cody felt in that moment the most, because I think he knows deep down this is what he wants. This is what he has wanted for years. And finally, he has it. He says he knows he and Mary can't be married. He doesn't question their experience. He refers to it as a great memory, and he knows this is the end. So now, all of a sudden, it's a great memory. But didn't Cody say he never loved Mary? He hasn't understood her this whole time. Mary deceived him with who she was and all this blah, 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 blah that he has to say about Mary. But now he remembers the great memories. When Cody says he knows this is the end, he sounds relieved. So Mary feels Cody's response was weird. She doesn't understand his emotions. She's really floored by this, taken aback, astounded. And she thought to herself, when Cody was being vulnerable with her, embracing her, sobbing, oh fuck, what have I done? And she wondered if maybe she did the wrong thing with leaving him. All these years with Cody, and she doesn't get that Cody just manipulated the fuck out of her. Cody has these women so manipulated that when he shows emotion, vulnerability, when he cries, Mary thinks he is crying over her for that loss. When Cody, in my opinion, is really crying out of relief and pity for himself. Mary doubted her choice to leave. When she saw Cody show that vulnerability, she got a glimpse of the old Cody. Nathan, the friend, asked Cody if he was sure about leaving Mary because he saw this display of emotion and he was so moved by it that he wondered if there was still something there. But Cody was sure. He was sure that this was right, and he wanted to be rid of his obstacles to his goals in life. For years he wanted this, and now he has the goal. Mary saw tears. Mary saw Cody's vulnerability. She caught a glimpse of who she thought Cody was when she met him. And it made her question things. It made her question if this was really right. Cody is a manipulative son of a bitch. Even Nathan, Cody's friend, was manipulated by Cody's disingenuous display as well. But Cody told him, listen, brother, if you don't get this by now, if you don't understand that this is right and that I'm sure about it, and if you don't get why I'm doing this, why this is right, there's no way I could even make you understand. But Cody's clear. Cody has been clear about his intentions for years. He wanted to be free from the obstacles to his goals in life. He had the goal of monogamy with Robin, his soulmate. He has the dream, the home, the Goblin's Lair, paid for off of the backs of Mary and Janelle, largely. And he is free, living his dream. Yet, if you notice, he really is more miserable than ever, more angry than ever. Cody maybe can fool Nathan, who wants to see the Cody he thought he once knew. Maybe Mary might have a second of doubt, But not for a second does Cody doubt freeing himself of his obstacles. Cody doesn't doubt it at all. He doesn't lose a wink of sleep. But he manipulated and gaslit these women so much that the second he shows any emotion, the second he shows a crumb of vulnerability, Mary doubts herself because more than anything, of course, she wishes things weren't this way. In my opinion, Cody uses emotional manipulation just like his wife does. What does she do? Bring on the waterworks, feel sorry for herself, pity Cody, play the victim. Cody is doing the exact same thing right here with Mary, using his emotions to make this about him, to hijack, to deflect. This really should have been Mary's moment. And I'm not saying the tears were fake, but in my opinion, Cody wasn't crying about Mary. So Mary tells Jen it doesn't make sense. Cody's behavior is really perplexing her. She's wondering about it. She's having doubts. And Mary wonders if Cody was so clear on the fact that he doesn't ever want to be married to her. And he also said multiple times he never loved her. But here he is sitting there, sobbing about an end of an era, saying they had something special. Mary wonders, which is it? She's confused. Cody wanted her confused. His manipulation worked. So Mary tells Jen that this has been coming for 8 years. Cody's been absent for 8 years. So Jen thinks Cody has been all over the place emotionally, and she thinks the reality just hit him right now. And Jen points out that Cody said sorry for the 7 years of stringing her along. And Mary corrects it and says it's been 8 years since yesterday. And yesterday, of course, was their 33rd wedding anniversary, or what would have been. So we get a lot of more insight into Jen. Jen met Mary when she lived in Vegas, and the family also lived in Vegas in the cul-de-sac there. So she saw the family a lot, and she says it seemed like Cody spent the majority of his time at Robin's house. Jen saw it back then, and her husband noticed it too. And they saw Cody favored one wife over the others, and Jen says flat out that it sucked. So all the way back in Vegas, we have Jen and her husband noticing that Cody spent the majority of the time at Robin's house. He wasn't around. He favored one wife over the others. He neglected the others. It sucked back in Vegas. And later in this episode, Cody has nostalgic moments of the beautiful memories of Vegas where he says his life was so beautiful as his wives were suffering on the inside. I like Jen a lot. Jen is a really good friend. She's blunt. I think she's great for Mary. So Jen tells Mary she had time to process. She had time to mourn this. It's been a year. They're doing this. So Mary tells Jen she's still not done mourning it. She's still in the process of mourning it. And of course, Cody reopened that wound. So Mary starts saying she would if he had shown this emotion before, maybe she wouldn't have broken up with him. Maybe she wouldn't have split with him. As if she's about to say, if he showed this emotion, if he showed this vulnerability, if he shared these sentiments earlier, maybe she would not have left. You could tell Mary's really doubting herself. Jen is a loyal friend to Mary. And as Mary seems to be doubting herself, second-guessing herself, just the way Cody wanted her to, Jen is there telling her no, that only opens herself up. She warns her not to do that. She knows, in my opinion, that Cody was manipulative, that Cody made Mary emotionally vulnerable with that display. Cody manipulated Mary, even in the last second. That's how cruel this guy is. So Mary assures Jen it's not like she's going to go running back to him or anything like that. That's not happening. She assures her, no way. It's just that she wonders if Cody is really sad about it. Mary really questions it. She questions her separation, and she thinks it's normal to wonder, wait, did I do the right thing here? So Jen at this point obviously seems worried about Mary. Mary was moved by Cody's manipulation, and she thinks maybe it would have been easier if Cody was just mean and a jerk in those last moments. And Jen says it would be so much easier if he were stupid. And she adds that Cody usually is stupid. So Mary, of course, counts on Cody being stupid again. What Mary fails to realize here is Cody manipulated the fuck out of her. Listen, Cody was using his tears, his self-pity. He cried over himself. He was pitying himself, feeling bad for himself. He wasn't crying over Mary. This was intentional manipulation, in my opinion, to leave Mary with doubts, to leave Mary questioning herself. Cody's last goodbye was totally manipulative. He wasn't being real. Yes, those were real tears, but they were not for Mary. They were for Cody feeling sorry for himself. Cody was mean. Cody was a jerk. Cody was cruel and manipulative for a decade. This one vulnerable moment got Mary in a tizzy. She has been so manipulated and conditioned by Cody that this small crumb of vulnerability, this break in the wall, leads her to doubt herself. It leads her to wonder if the old Cody is in there. Mary and Jen don't seem to realize that Cody was being toxic and manipulative, even with that last goodbye. They seem to feel that was genuine. I say make no mistake, Cody wasn't crying about Mary. This wasn't a sweet, sentimental moment. This was manipulation. So Jen adds that she doesn't think it's any one thing that broke up the family. She says things changed so much for them, and then Flagstaff divided the family even more. She thinks because physically they were further away, it was a whole lot easier for every one of them to just go about living separate lives. And then the pandemic really was the final straw. Jen feels Mary continued to try. She moved to Arizona to continue to try. And over time, seeing Cody consistently fail to follow through on his promises was Mary's end for her specifically. So Jen feels the majority of the responsibility in this case falls on the husband who wanted to have 4 wives. I couldn't agree more. She says Cody was the one who has to figure out how to make 4 relationships work. Exactly. And let's not forget, Cody would go to the favorite wife for relationship advice since she speaks Cody and she knows all about how to make relationships work. So Cody was treating his wives and communicating with his wives in ways consistent with the advice of his favorite wife. So there was also a third party in the middle of what should have been their private marriages. I completely agree with Jen, as I'm sure everyone does. And when you intentionally have an obvious favorite wife and you spend most of your time with this wife, you invest in this wife and her kids the most while being absent with the other wives and the other kids. When you promise to treat all your wives and kids equally when you marry these 4 wives, that's a huge problem as well. This falls on Cody. I couldn't agree more with that. So Mary is really excited to live in the same town as Jen. And I think Jen and Blair are going to be a wonderful support system for Mary. So Mary says it's confusing. It's really confusing. She knows where she is. She's at peace with their decision to terminate the marriage. She knows she's in the right place, but she is confused. So Jen says when Cody said he planned on walking Mary down the aisle, that's definitely not happening. No fucking way. And Jen volunteers to be the one to do it as long as it's not Cody. That was so ridiculous of Cody. How preposterous to have your ex-husband who treated you like absolute shit for decades walk you down the aisle to your new husband. An idiot Cody thought that would be an honor, like he's bestowing an honor. Kind of like he thought it was a kindness to offer Mary a place in his barn dominion with his old tools he needs to store. This shows how overinflated Cody's ego is and how little self-awareness and connection to reality Cody has. He is very disconnected from reality. In his pea brain, he thinks Mary would love for him to have that honor, to walk her down the aisle in her next wedding when he treated her like shit. Cody is so fucking weird. I really can't stand him. There is something like more than a couple screws loose with that guy. So next up at Christine's house, Christine and Janelle are setting up Savannah's graduation party, her high school graduation party. So Janelle asked Christine to have this party at her home in Utah, and Janelle's kids and Christine's kids are all gathering there. Janelle explains that throughout the years, the family always had these huge graduation parties, and they would all work together to throw these huge parties for the graduating kids. And this party will be different from all the other parties, but Janelle and Christine are going to do their best to mark the occasion. Cody says he didn't expect to be invited since he and Janelle and he and Christine aren't in a good place. Cody doesn't understand that it's not just the place he is in with his ex-wives. The kids don't want him there. They don't want to be around someone that keeps burning them and burning them and burning them, and also on top of that, disrespecting their mothers. Why the fuck would they want Cody around? A cloud to suck all the energy out of the joy in the place. Now, Janelle says she does not interact at all with Robin or her kids. He explains that Savannah really doesn't have much to do with them, so it would be really awkward to invite them since they're not that close. So we learned that Maddie's kids, Axel and Evie, the grandkids, that Cody hasn't bothered to visit once since Evie was born, those kids now refer to David as Grandpa since they see him so often. That's how involved David is with Christine and her kids and her grandkids. He is invested the way Cody should be with Maddie's kids. Maddie's kids don't even recognize Cody, but they love David. They feel comfortable enough to call him Grandpa Dave. At this point, Christine and David have lived together for 2 months, and David and Truly are great together. Things went really smoothly, and Christine feels it's just lovely to settle, very settling, very peaceful, and she seems so happy. So Janelle knows that they're finally going to get the property in Flagstaff paid off. It's to the wire at this point. By now, they have 5 or 10 days to pay off the land. So Janelle doesn't know what Cody is going to do. He is still talking about having to gather all of the money. So Janelle feels Cody and Robin, they can do what they want. But what she's going to do is she's just going to wire her part of the money for her share. And she doesn't care how they do this as long as they please just make sure all the money is there by the freaking deadline. Janelle is frustrated, but she did her part. So she says now she really has to talk to Maddie and Caleb so that they can move forward with buying the land in North Carolina to launch their next dream. So Maddie is very protective of her mother, which I greatly appreciate. Maddie wants to know if Janelle is selling off her Coyote Pass property. She wants to know what Janelle is doing once that property is paid off. So Janelle wants to live with Maddie and Caleb in North Carolina. They want to get this property, but she doesn't know what they're going to be doing with the land once it's paid off. She knows she will have to fight to bring the subdivision to fruition. She isn't sure how long that's going to take. So Maddie wonders if Janelle drives out there to Flagstaff, if she can make it happen with a quickness. Janelle isn't sure. She explains why this is so complicated, even after they meet the deadline to pay off the land. Janelle explains that even though they have the 4 lots, their names aren't all on the title for these 4 lots. So if they sold them now, it would be up to somebody's magnanimous generosity to be fair. She thinks it's possible, but it's not guaranteed. So in anticipation that she may have to fight for her fair share of this property, Janelle has retained a lawyer. And Janelle is entitled to a 4-acre piece of 14 acres, the total acreage of Coyote Pass. Maddie wonders if it's fair, and Janelle explains that it has to be divided 4 ways. So Maddie isn't cool with it. She's not sure it's fair, but at this point, Janelle doesn't care. She's frustrated. She wants it to be done. And Janelle says she thinks 4 acres is enough for her piece. She doesn't want to go toe-to-toe with whatever crazy logic Cody and Robin have. Maddie wants Janelle to push to get it appraised and subdivided and done with, so then she can sell, so she can settle with them in North Carolina and have this property with them. So Janelle explains why Maddie is frustrated, because Janelle doesn't really have any way to move forward. Janelle explains that when she asks Cody about the property and what he wants to do once it's paid off, he doesn't respond. He ignores her. And he is proposing a division of the land without getting an appraiser That doesn't make any sense to her. So Cody arbitrarily went out there and decided how he wants the land to be divided without actually appraising it or subdividing it. So Janelle says it's nonsensical, but she wants to move it along, however it is, just so they can all get their fair share, hopefully sell the land and be done with it, but nothing is happening. Janelle really would love to move on with her life, but she's stuck in this limbo. I'm so glad she got the lawyer. So Janelle is really excited about the future, but she and Maddie really look forward to this land in North Carolina, even though they know it's going to be a lot of work. And Caleb seems like a really stand-up guy. I really appreciate, he seems very sensitive. He's always asking how his mother-in-laws are doing, and he seems really sensitive and genuinely emotionally understanding of what everyone in this family has gone through. So he tells Janelle that he is proud of her and he's really excited for her. And for some reason, I found that very touching. Janelle is all in on this, and she's putting all of her financial resources into this, along with Maddie and Caleb. They all have this dream, and they are all in with it, and Janelle is very excited about this. So next up, Mary is in London on a trip, and she had never been to London before. She always wanted to go, so Mary feels this is a defining moment because the world is her oyster now. Mary is glowing on this trip. She looks happier than we have ever seen her ever on the show in London. I think maybe Mary should do a travel blog. She was so happy. So Mary says making this trip and doing this solo really empowered her. And she goes to Stonehenge, and Mary has always been obsessed with Stonehenge. And she starts bawling. She's overwhelmed with the emotion. She can't believe she's there. She has wanted to take this trip all of her life, so accomplishing this really made her emotional. She's mind blown, and she loves Stonehenge. It's always been a fascination of hers, and she recalls watching a documentary about it late one night, and she became intrigued with it. So she is just overwhelmed being at Stonehenge, feeling the history there, bawling her eyes out. And it seems like a very cathartic cry to me. Mary seems free. She seems relieved. And Mary says it was really interesting because after she and Cody made the decision to split, she now feels free. She adds that it's not in a way that she felt she was being forced to stay, and she didn't necessarily feel stuck with Cody, but it's interesting how free she feels. I am so glad for these women. Now, Mary looks happier than I have ever seen her, and this is during the entire show. She is the happiest I've ever seen her on this trip. So Mary is glad she made this trip during this time in her life, and she is now at peace with ending her marriage, and she knows this is just the beginning of something amazing, and she's excited about what's to come, and she's making great strides, and she thinks this is a good thing. Mary's going to realize this leaving Cody was the best decision she ever made. So, as we know on the show, the Brown graduation parties are a big deal for the family, and there's usually a song, some type of musical performance. So, in my opinion, this kind of fell flat, but I mean, the heart was in it, the right intentions were there. So, Maddie came up with something, and she started this flash mob, and Christine says it was a fail, it was chaos. A lot of things came together that just didn't work. You know, I kind of feel like Savannah got gypped compared to what the other kids got for their graduation parties, but I think it was an awesome party. It was filled with heart. It was peaceful. It was joyful. And really, the heart of the family still came together to do something awesome to celebrate this milestone in Savannah's life. The heart of the family, the nucleus, has really always been Christine and Janelle and their kids, and the family, that part of the family is still functioning even without Cody. And it's great that they have that family there, that support system maintained. Cody doesn't need to be a part of it with his toxicity, and it's even better now. So Cody's bitter. He would have liked to have been able to be a part of Savannah's life. But he says it's like they are in this collusion that seems to hate Robin, and he doesn't know why. And he says, other than that, they are jealous. Nobody is jealous of the goblin. What would anybody be jealous of. There is nothing about Robin, inside or out, that anybody could possibly envy or be jealous of. I could say some mean things, but Cody is saying that it's jealousy and collusion against Robin. And that's the usual party line from those two idiots when they want to deflect from addressing their accountability, and that they and their toxic behavior and selfishness, along with their incessant victim mentality, is the reason for this. They aren't welcome because of their toxic behavior and their manipulation, and their lack of accountability. None of this is about jealousy of that jaw that never ends. No one is jealous of their best customer relationship or the way Robin manipulates and manages Cody and has to feed his ego constantly. If you notice, one common theme among all the ex-wives is they all feel free. They all feel relief to be free of Cody and his toxicity. There is not one woman in the world who would ever be jealous about anything of Robin's or about anything regarding Robin or Cody. I think that's nuts that Cody thinks anyone in the world would buy this bullshit excuse. He isn't welcome there because he's toxic as fuck. It's not about Robin. He wouldn't be invited with or without her, in my opinion. And Janelle really says this next. Janelle says, Cody has the idea that somehow if he just leaves Robin at home, that he is going to be able to come to these family gatherings. And Janelle says that's so far from the truth. She reveals that Cody is alienated from 90 to 95% of his children, and he is not really wanted at events. Janelle adds that Cody isn't coming regardless of who he brings or doesn't bring with him. He isn't invited. Well said, Janelle. Robin, of course, has to give her 2 cents. She says it was always a big deal for them in Vegas. They always had huge graduation parties for each kid. And she feels so sad that that's not how it went this time for Savannah. It did go that way this time. The only difference is Robin and Cody aren't invited. Robin is just pissed that she and Cody aren't invited. They aren't welcome and they aren't wanted. They're pissed that the family, the heart of the family, still functions completely without them, and it functions just fine. Janelle and Christine and their kids still do all the big events together, united as a family, and they don't need Cody or Robin's cloud of doom and gloom, their energy-sucking vampires, their toxic asses present to have these events. And Cody is pissed that the family continued on without him, and he isn't a part of it, and neither is Robin. And it has nothing to do with the jealousy towards Robin or hatred of Robin. It's because of toxic behavior, manipulative behavior, and emotional abuse that comes from Cody and Robin. No one wants them around. No one wants to be around their cloud of misery. The second those two walk in a room, they suck out the joy like a black hole of doom. People don't want to be around them, and it's completely understandable why the kids don't want Cody around at these events. Cody can play dumb. He can say this is about hate for Robin, but this is really about the toxic behavior and the level of pain and suffering it caused to his family, to his ex-wives, and to his kids. He referred to his family as the obstacles to his goals in life. No one is jealous of that manipulative witch. No one is colluding. Cody isn't welcome because of the way he behaves. He isn't welcome because he deflects and he points his finger at everyone. But he and his wife haven't taken a shred of accountability. They show no remorse. Saying Cody regrets things like not attending the surgery or he regrets stringing Mary along, in my opinion, that's not really accountability. I'm sure there are people out there who are impressed with those crumbs Cody is giving, but in my opinion, Cody only said those small things because he knows how bad he looks. I think if Cody meant it, if he meant this ridiculous vow he made to God on his birthday to be a good father to all of his kids, he would be spending time taking accountability, trying to apologize over and over and over if need be. He would be having the hard conversations, acknowledging his mistakes, acknowledging how his toxic behavior affected his kids' feelings. He would be feeling the guilt of it. He would be feeling the shame. He would be feeling the remorse and the weight of it instead of blaming his kids and ex-wives for being jealous of his wife, hating her, and colluding against both of them. As the reason, no one wants anything to do with him. If he really cared, he would address the real reasons. Cody is so disingenuous, and it completely shows. He would rather miss out on his kids and their lives and their milestones in life and the grandkids and all his family has to offer than to be a man and take accountability. Instead, he'd rather be a coward who blames his lack of invitation on this false narrative that everybody is jealous of his wife. Nell just said it. He wouldn't be welcome with or without her. The kids have every right not to want Cody there. Burned so badly, they don't want to ever stick their pinky near the flame. They have every right to say, we don't want this doom and gloom here. It's not about Robin. Cody doesn't get that it's about Cody. Cody says the situation sucks to high bullshit. The situation's fucked. And he explains that he has this whole other side of the family that have decided that they are still a family and they are out and they maintain the family without him. And Cody explains in his mind that he thinks they will let him in. They'll let him into that club as long as he leaves Robin behind. And Cody says he simply can't do that. This coward still doesn't get that with or without Robin, he is not welcome. It's not Robin. It's not about Robin, but Cody wants to make it about that so he can deflect from himself and his toxic behavior being the issue here. Cody refuses to take accountability. He refuses to be there for his kids. They don't want anything to do with him. They've been burned too many times. Of course he's not welcome. It has nothing to do with Robin, but Cody would rather blame that than to take accountability or admit the real reasons why he's not welcome. So next up, Mary drove back to Flagstaff to write the check for Cody to pay off the land. And they're each contributing an equal amount and it will be done and paid off. And then they still have to figure out how to get rid of the land. And that's going to be a fucking nightmare. So Cody says today is relief that they are paying off the land. But there is also a deep awareness that they are no longer a family. Robin, of course, always has to chime in. She puts on this very fake shit-eating grin, and she has this tone of voice that is completely fake. And she has this fake enthusiasm saying how good it is that they're finally paying off this property. So Mary arrives at the Goblin's lair to give Cody her check. And Mary tells Cody and Robin how excited she was to see Stonehenge. And she mentions that she's only been obsessed with Stonehenge for 25 years. And Cody, who's been married to her for over 30 years, doesn't even know that Mary's into Stonehenge. Cody tries to burst Mary's bubble. He's like, that's it, Stonehenge? That's what you're excited about? There's got to be other places that were cool. So Mary reflects. She thinks it's interesting that something so interesting and so meaningful to her for all that time, for all those decades, her partner had no idea about, and he could also care less about it. So Mary reminds Cody of when they used to be married, they used to be interested in each other, and she tells Cody that she was obsessed with Stonehenge. She would talk about it with him. And at this point, Robin looks really uncomfortable, and she asks if she should leave, and she gets up. And Mary asks Cody if she remembers her obsession or how important Stonehenge was to her. And Cody looks like he has never heard about this in his life, even though Mary's told him 10 million times. So Mary seems shocked by this. And Janelle gives a little insight. She adds that she has found that with Cody, he will forget things that are important to her that she is talking about unless he is interested in it or he can somehow use it as leverage to say, you need to do this, then we can do this. Like, you need to do this, and then maybe we can go to Ireland, for example. So Christine explains that if you wanted to do things with Cody, you really would have to live in his world and do things in his world, what he was interested in. What you were interested in, not so much, not really, it didn't happen. Cody gives the most pathetic excuse I've ever heard that he's a man, he's a guy. Is Cody an upstanding guy? Is Cody a real man? Or is Cody a coward with shriveled balls that Robin keeps in a vice? A guy who would lie on his children for things he knows came out of his mouth that a real man would never ever tell his child. No father would ever tell his child these things. And when his children outed it, what did Cody do? Cody said, "Oh, they're lying. I never said that." So are multiple of his kids lying, or is Cody a liar? Do we consider that a man someone who would lie and say his children are lying about something he said just to make himself look less bad? A real man would never tell these kind of things to their child. Things like, "Oh, I wish I never married any of your mothers and I never had you and I only married Robin." Things like that. "I wish I waited and I just married Robin." Do you know what that would make a child feel like, to know that this is how your father is talking about your mother? No real man, no good father would ever say these kind of things. But Cody's excuse for this, for not hearing his wives when they speak, is he's a man, he's a guy, and he's only going to remember certain things. Certain things just don't matter to him, even if they do matter to you. Cody says sometimes it's just selective memory. Selective memory, or Cody is a dick who treated these women as less than, not as his equals, who really didn't give a fuck about them or what they had to say. Most men know at the very least the dreams their partners have, what's on their bucket list, what their interests are. They don't make an effort to ignore their wives. They don't treat them as less than or a second-class citizen who's only there just to please him and feed his ego. Fuck Cody. I doubt most real men would even claim him. Saying "I'm a guy" isn't an excuse. Cody was married to Mary for decades. She probably mentioned Stonehenge 10 million times. Cody's being a fucking dick. Cody doesn't see his wives as equals, or he would listen when they speak. Being a guy is no excuse. Cody would ignore his wives. He was there only as an obligation, only as a chore when he was around. And he really wasn't wanting to be there, and it shows. So when these women spoke to him, thinking of him as their partner and husband, thinking he was listening, thinking that he cared, that he was invested, Cody was probably just waiting for them to shut up, thinking of ways he can manipulate them to get everything at his convenience and the results he wanted from them. I think he saw his wives as a means to an end. He didn't love and respect them as his equals, as his partners, and he didn't even listen when they spoke. I feel that was far too inconvenient for him. So Janelle, of course, wired her fourth into the title company directly. So now she feels like a huge weight has been lifted off of her shoulders with the final payment on this property, because they could potentially have lost all of the land since it was all collateralized in the loan. So Mary wonders, once this is done, if they're going to start discussing dividing the land into 4 equal parcels. Cody tells Mary he spoke to Janelle because there are woods on sections of 3 lots. And he asked Janelle if she wanted to do an appraisal or if she was happy with her 4 acres that he assigned to her. And then just having he and Mary split the other 6 acres. So the only fair way, obviously, is to survey and appraise the land and create 4 equally valued parcels that are similar in size. And I know trees could potentially add value, so a smaller parcel with trees might be worth a larger parcel without. But I think it's important to do everything as close to equally sized lots as possible with similar values, trees or no trees. Get a surveyor and just do it right, because Cody doing it, he's going to swindle Mary any way he can, and that's obvious. Cody says he, Mary, Robin, and Janelle are owners now. So Robin would have 4 acres. Janelle would have 4 acres. Mary would have a lot. He would have a lot. And then he and Mary would share a lot. So Cody is really pushing to split the land 5 ways. And he makes the bullshit excuse that it's so the kids can inherit something special for themselves. And Cody feels that this way they're going to get the most value out of the land. He feels he and Mary can just have 3 acres, each with trees, and that'll just bump up the value. So Mary, of course, is being smart. She isn't sold on Cody's idea of the 5 lots. There shouldn't be 5 lots. That's not fair to Mary. Now, Mary tells Cody she thinks it would be fair for all 4 of them to know what the lots are worth before they decide. The land needs to be appraised. Now, Mary thinks it's fair and valid that they get an appraisal on the full property rather than just somebody guessing at it. That just since there are trees, it just must automatically mean it's more valuable. Mary wants exact details. She is pushing for an appraisal. Cody doesn't want that. He isn't expecting Mary to push back. So he tells Mary they could do that, or maybe a developer or a contractor might want to buy the entire thing. And if they bought the whole thing, they could just split the profits 4 ways. So Cody wants to know if Mary would be cool with selling it. Robin says she doesn't want to sell. Cody is frustrated that Robin still wants to build on the land. And in her delusional mind, she's hoping that Mary builds a home out there. And she's saying she knows Mary won't live there full time, but she hopes Mary's around. And Robin also hopes Janelle builds out there. What is Robin smoking? What a delusional nut. She has so little regard for Mary that she would hope Mary builds there just so she doesn't have to feel as bad about the shit person she is, and Mary can live there, her captive forever, being her emotional support human for the rest of her life. What a crock of shit. I am sick of Goblin. The way she plays dumb, the way she plays clueless is pathetic. Janelle explains that they're in a no man's land now. She has a lawyer. Cody isn't talking to her about what he wants to do. He isn't acting excited or enthused. He isn't wanting to move forward with this. So Janelle really wants Cody to just buy her out. She wants this resolved. She wants the land sold and just split 4 ways. So at this point, Mary narks on Janelle. I was very disappointed in Mary. Shame on her. She tells Cody and Robin that Janelle came over to her house and she was very concerned a while ago, warning her to make sure she protects herself, that she gets her fair share. Cody looks super pissed and Robin is definitely angry. So they get these looks on their faces, and Mary says she knows when Janelle came over to her house, she was very concerned about how it was going to go down. And Mary explains after talking to Cody, he has explained that after they divide up the property, they're each going to have an equal part. Cody looks angry, and Robin plays dumb again. She repeats, "Protect yourself," like she's shocked that Janelle would be concerned about this. She's playing dumb, acting like it shocks her that Janelle would be worried about this. Janelle had reason to be worried. It's a good thing she got the lawyer, and we're going to hear later out of Cody's mouth what he wishes he could be able to do. So Janelle says even though she and Mary don't have a real relationship, her conscience dictated that she went and spoke with her about the property. And she didn't do it to create drama. It was to make sure that Mary was aware and could be educated, eyes open, going into this situation. And it's a good thing Janelle did that. Next, Cody projects and he says Janelle doesn't trust him because she's the one who would screw him if she could. And that's what he believes. So the man living under a roof, retained largely by Janelle and Mary's Vegas home contributions, who both never saw a penny of that money back, that man is accusing Janelle of wanting to screw him, projecting that onto her because he would love to screw her. What a dick. This is a mother of 6 of his kids who gave decades of her life and acted as a primary breadwinner for I don't know how long. And this is how he thanks her for her sacrifice. Cody would love to screw Janelle if he could. He knows that 100%. This is just projection. Cody says he'll be honest with us. He'll be honest. He's thought about screwing Janelle. And then he laughs maniacally like a crazy person. But he assures us he won't screw Janelle because his wife with a conscience won't let him. And he's laughing like a lunatic as he's saying this. Now you see why Janelle got a lawyer? I'm very disappointed that Mary would rat out Janelle. I thought that was really shady of her. Now, I really felt Janelle was a class act going to Mary's house. And I think it's really shady, and it's no wonder most of the sister wives don't want to deal with Mary because of the way she acts. It was very disappointing to see her reveal that to Cody. So Mary lets Cody know she's just making sure they're all covered with the property situation, that it all shakes out fairly. She wants to be sure. So Mary tells Cody that she told Janelle her name was on the property less than Janelle's name. And Mary explains how she's only legally a third owner of one of the 4 parcels. So she paid the same amount as the other 4 adults putting in on this property, but she owns the leased property. So did Mary pay the least as well, or did Mary pay the same as the other 3 adults that are chipping in on this with her? They all paid a fourth. They all paid the same amount to the best of my knowledge. So they should all be getting equally valued parcels and equal money back if they sell the land and they invested equally. Cody thinks, in my opinion, that he can get away with screwing Mary. If Mary were smart, she would retain Janelle's lawyer and fight with her to ensure she gets her fair share, rather than ratting Janelle out to Cody and Robin, because Janelle really was looking out for Mary. Mary says she doesn't get why the property got divided that way. She wasn't involved in the process. She was told about it after the fact, that she would be a third owner only on 1/4 of the 4 properties, even though she's paying the same amount. So it just got divided up the way Cody wanted, and she was just told about it, and that's it. So here, Robin plays dumb, as usual, and she gives the excuse that the names on the properties, they were just temporary until it was all paid off. So Robin explains nobody made the decision on how to title and separate the land except for Cody. Robin had nothing to do with it, and she says they were just told about it later by Cody. And when Cody told her, Robin asked Cody why he did it that way. He told her he had to make the decision quickly, so he just did it. Robin says she doesn't even know. She didn't know that he was going to do that. She feigns cluelessness here and scrunches up her eyebrows. She is horrible at feigning confusion. But what's interesting is she and Cody own the 2 largest properties the way this is set up. But let's remember, every adult paid the same. So at this point, does Mary believe Janelle yet? She said she didn't know who to believe when Janelle went to see her. Now who does Mary believe? Does she believe Janelle? Because she should. Now, Mary says she knows Cody's name is on every single property and Robin's name is on 3 of the properties. So Cody and Robin own the monopoly as far as the land. And Mary hopes that Cody and Robin will be fair and that they're going to be honest. She hopes that it doesn't get ugly. Unless Mary wants to lay on her back to allow Cody and Robin to rob her blind, it will get ugly. Now, Janelle says the property is finally getting paid off, but now there is this big fight about dividing the land, how they divide the land. Janelle really doesn't know what to expect from Cody. She says he's been an ass about the property, so Janelle feels he might also be an ass about it as they move forward. Mary insists she thinks it would be fair for them before they make any decisions, before she makes a decision, that it would be fair for her, for all of them to know exactly what the property is worth and all the different parcels would be worth. So Cody is really annoyed. He wasn't expecting this from Mary. He acts clueless. He's muttering under his breath. He acts like it's such a hardship that they'd have to get a land appraiser. And he doesn't want to. Of course he doesn't want to. He would rather swindle as much as he can from Janelle and Mary rather than doing this fairly, even when the whole world is watching. Cody is a coward to the bone. I'm glad to see Mary standing up for herself. At this point, Cody he wasn't expecting this from Mary. So he's frowning, he's grimacing, and Mary tells Cody it's not that big a deal. She's sure they have land appraisers in Flagstaff. And Cody is pissed. So Robin says when Mary suggested getting the land appraised, she had no problem with it because she wants to make sure it's fair rather than just guess. So Cody goes silent. He seems pissed beyond belief. So Robin asks him if there's a problem, which clearly there is. He's irritated. And Cody looks like he's at his wit's end. He tells Robin he doesn't know. He tells Robin they have partners that all have different goals with the property. And Robin tells Cody that doesn't matter. They still need to know what the parcels are worth and they need to divide it. Cody's upset that Mary isn't allowing herself to be swindled so easily. So Mary wants to know for a fact the numbers rather than just guess and go with whatever Cody's saying. And Cody reluctantly agrees, but of course he doesn't want this. Cody is resisting this appraisal to try and swindle Mary. He was expecting Mary to just accept anything he told her. And now, if he gets the land appraised, Mary will get way more than the parcel he tried to force on her. Unfairly, of course. When she paid her fair share, she paid the same as the rest of the adults, and she deserves her fair share of the property. Janelle feels Cody is avoiding the appraisal because he knows he is making out like a bandit now. And Janelle says Cody wants them to just trust him, to have trust that he knows what he's talking about with the values of the properties, with the trees, with all of his bullshit and this and that. Cody doesn't know shit about property and real estate. He never even had the fortitude to study and pass his real estate exam back in the day when he was claiming he wanted to be a real estate guru. He was an entrepreneur. There were so many opportunities. He was going to go, remember back in his high school reunion in Wyoming, he was going to go in a week, if not two, and go with a quickness to get that real estate license because now he's in real estate and there's so many opportunities. He took one look at that book and he said, fuck no. But now he knows all. So Cody says the land is a source of pain. He doesn't want to put more money in. He doesn't want to do appraisals. He knows maybe he has to do it, but he doesn't want to do it. And he doesn't want to talk to lawyers about it. He doesn't know what to do because he isn't interested in doing anything and he doesn't give a fuck. In my opinion, he's not interested in doing anything because he wants to drag this out. So Janelle and Mary get so frustrated and sick of this that they just accept whatever he decides so he can swindle Mary out of what is fair for her, in my opinion. He wants to try and get away with taking as much as he can, and he wasn't really expecting Mary to push back, and I am so glad she did. Robin, of course, has to tell everyone how she feels constantly diarrheaing her emotions all over the place. Robin says she has mixed emotions. She's happy they're paying off the land, but for her, that meant the family would be back together. They were all going to build homes out there. They would all be out there. They would all have something similar to their cul-de-sac in Vegas. Now Robin wonders what this all means and what it will look like. So Mary asks Cody if Janelle is thinking of building. And Cody tells Mary Janelle keeps suggesting they just sell the land together and each take a fourth of the profits. So Mary asks Cody and Robin if they still want to build out there. Cody wants to build there, but he has mixed emotions. Delusional Cody thinks it's a possibility still that Janelle might build out there. And he says he and Janelle need healing before he would be willing to live next to her on Coyote Pass. Like Janelle would ever want to live anywhere around Cody. Now, Cody says if Janelle builds, he would probably tell Robin that they were just selling. In what world, on what planet, after all of this, would Janelle ever want to build? It's like Cody doesn't even live in the same reality as the rest of us. Cody feels if Janelle wanted to build, that Robin might just say, angel cap in hand that she is, oh, why don't we just find a way to be good neighbors with her? Janelle says, yeah, she talked to Cody about building a long time ago. And last winter, she asked him clearly to buy her out. And he told her he didn't have the money. He wasn't going to do that. So Janelle has a lawyer. She's taking this seriously. And she doesn't know what her options are to preserve her part of the investment. And she says if she has to build out there, she doesn't want to live next to Cody and Robin. So she just might build really big fences and be a bad neighbor and just hope they moved somewhere else. So Cody tells Mary this house that they're in, the Goblin's Lair, it has a lot of pain for him. And it's not because of anything between he and his favorite wife, but it's because of the experience he has lived through here in this house for the past 3 years with the divorces. So the house has this energy. Cody experienced a lot of negative there. So Cody adds that unless they sell this house, they won't even have the money to build there on Coyote Pass. So Mary jokes that it's buying a house for rent, really. And Cody says if Mary built out there, he would be fine with it. He would help her plow her driveway. Mary has no intention to build on the land. And she says there is nothing holding her to Flagstaff. There is no reason for her to ever want to build there. So Mary tells Cody this is his problem, what he wants to do with the land. That's all his problem. She says she isn't involved in that. And Mary says their decision, Cody and Robin's decision on what they do with the land and their part of the land, that's their choice. She asks why it's so confusing because Cody and Robin are perplexed by this when she tells them, well, that's your problem, what you want to do with your land. And she makes a joke. She says, how soon you forget. And of course that they're divorced. And Robin didn't like the joke, neither did Cody. Mary says, now they're all going to have to start talking about how they're going to divide this land up. And she doesn't know how or when that conversation is going to happen. She doesn't know how it's going to go. Mary isn't married to Cody anymore, and she says she isn't part of Cody and Robin's unit. And now is the time where she has to look out for herself. So Mary says she talks about it like Cody is all in charge of the whole property, and that's because he's the one who has a monopoly on it. His name is on every single piece of property. So Mary explains that if it gets to the point that she would need an attorney, she would do that. She has no problem doing that, but she hopes it doesn't get there. But she will do it if she needs to. Amen, 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 hallelujah. Get that lawyer, Mary. She really should, and she's going to need to, I have a feeling. So next up, Cody heads to Vegas to meet his brothers. And it's a family Christmas present they do, a man trip. There is going to be no debauchery, no gambling, and Cody says the worst they're going to do is curse a lot. Cody is really sad. He's sad to leave Goblin. He's sad to leave his kids behind, but he really needs this man trip. Robin explains that Cody used to go on these man trips a lot in Vegas. Then it stopped for a while, and she is glad Cody is going because she knows this will be healing for him. And she also knows she gets a break from that best customer service and the constant ego feast. She is probably relieved that he's going. So Scott is Cody's older brother, and he's in a plural marriage, and he is still attached to their old church. And Michael is Cody's younger brother. He's not going to pursue polygamy, and he isn't affiliated with the church. So Cody and his brothers discuss the fifth wife, Cody's hair. He has on this ridiculous protective hair bonnet, and he explains that if he doesn't dry his hair right, the curls don't happen. The curls don't happen, or he can't style it just right to hide the balding. Cody's brothers joke that Cody was always really into his hair, even as a teenager. Cody adds that the grayer he gets, the more he dyes his hair. He needs his hair to be pretty. I don't think his hair looks pretty. I'm not trying to be mean, but I think his hair looks desperate. That ramen is thirsty as fuck. And there is no hair in the front at all. It looks sad, in my opinion. But, if Cody's hair makes him feel pretty, if he likes it, he should rock it. The hairnet helps the curls, so Cody likes to use it. Cody wants to go to the old cul-de-sac. He feels really nostalgic about Vegas. He says it's the one place in his life he felt safe. It's a special place. He says he has so many memories. It's heartbreaking, almost heartbreaking. He remembers the recommitment celebration and the family mission statement. And Cody feels living in the cul-de-sac, it was the closest he had to the dream. Cody explains that he doesn't know if he ever did plural marriage correctly, ever. But this for him was the place where it was beautiful, at least. As beautiful as his experience ever had it. He adds that he tends to remember the best parts of things, so he loves the cul-de-sac. He remembers the positives. Listen, Cody is very cynical. Cody doesn't even know himself. He will idealize things. He'll rewrite history to fit whatever his current mood is, and he will adjust to whatever fits his narrative. What Cody remembers as this beautiful time, the best time for him, some of the wives remember as suffering. Christine said Vegas was hard. Cody was mostly at Robin's house. She struggled feeling like she mattered in Vegas. Cody wasn't even acting as a husband at Mary's house. He wasn't even staying there. Christine had a very tough time in Vegas. Janelle even noticed by then that Cody wasn't around much. He was always at Robin's. He had completely abandoned Mary. He was very present only at Robin's house. Cody may remember Vegas as beautiful, this beautiful experience for him, but it wasn't that way for his wives. Cody visited the cul-de-sac a year ago, and he says it made him weep out of nostalgia or some feeling of loss. Or maybe even self-pity. That would be my guess. At that time, it was after Christine left. It was after all of his problems with Janelle. And Cody says Mary's problems started in Vegas. So did the problems for Christine and Janelle. But he says his memory still has them all together in this space, and it's relatively warm. It's a warm memory for him. Cody's brother wonders if there is any hope of Cody reconciling with Janelle. And Cody says he keeps asking Janelle to reconcile, and Janelle keeps saying no. She enjoys her life without him. And Cody jokes that he didn't know he was that big of a pain in the butt. Pain in the butt, or he told Janelle to change who she was as a person for him to be willing to invest again in their marriage. He's a pain in the butt, or he asked Janelle to pick him over his sons. Are his brothers this stupid? If they really loved Cody, they would call him out and encourage him to be more of a man and less of a coward. They would encourage him to take accountability. Do Cody's brothers know that whenever his kids need accountability from him and they bring up the horrific things he told them that no father should ever tell their kids, that Cody would rather call his kids liars when confronted with it than to get egg on his face and own it? This is more than Cody just being a pain in the butt. And if they were really having Cody's back man to man, his brothers would level with him. Cody tells his brothers Janelle is free and he is insulted by her expressions. He's insulted by how happy she is. Cody says he's done. He just doesn't want it anymore. And he tells his brothers it's easy to sit here and be in a place with Robin, the intimacy, the safety, the wholeness in that divine relationship. To have that and not worry about the others, for him, it's liberating. See, this is right for Cody. Cody has exactly what he wants, to be free, to be liberated from his obstacles to his goals in life. Cody reflects that he was building a family. And when he was building a family, it wasn't about whether he was in love. He says he loved them. He asks himself, was I in love? Was I in love with them? Did I have the same experience with each wife? Cody says no, never. And that's a hard confession to make when he was trying really hard to hide what he and Robin had while he was trying to promote everything else. Cody is struggling with Christine and Janelle moving on, and he complains that they trash talk him behind his back. He says it bothers him, it bugs him a lot, and he wants them to stop blaming Robin. Robin factored into this, but the crux of this is on Cody. Cody makes the excuse that everyone blames Robin when really they blame him and they want him to take accountability. But Cody would rather say they blame Robin so he doesn't have to be the one who has to take any accountability for anything. Cody says they blame Robin and he puts all of his energy into that to avoid taking accountability for his toxicity. He's deflecting by making this about Robin. I can't say that enough. Now, Cody says he has a little fault, and it's not a fault with a big family, but it's a fault when he is a monogamist. He is still trying to partner with Janelle, who has rejected their marriage and their partnership. And when Mary calls him, he answers the phone. He jumps up to go see Mary. He's eager when Mary calls him now. So Cody says that's been a weird space. He's just trying to work so hard with these women to get them to agree. He's still trying to do it. And the real point is, Robin is the only woman he has to get to agree with him now. It's harder for Cody because he doesn't have wives in a hierarchy to pin against each other, to manipulate, to get exactly what he wants out of each one, to favor one and neglect another, to manipulate and adapt to get what he wants out of his wives. With one wife, he can't play those games as easily. I'm sure it's far less convenient. Cody's a monogamist now. He feels it's a whole different world. It's no longer this big thing. There's not all of this energy behind it, but he feels like this is right for him. And Cody explains his family broke up and he is going, maybe this is the way it was just always supposed to be. It feels right for him. And Cody says it's hard to say that when you've got all the children and all the experiences and all the memories, but yet he doesn't know what else to do besides say, this is what's happening. This is where we are at. And of course, let's not forget, Cody always wanted this, to rid himself to the obstacles of his goals in life. So Cody says he never wants to marry again, never again. he's very happy with the idea of just growing old together with Robin. Cody thinks that's romantic, and Cody's brother adds, riding into the sunset with Robin. As I was just thinking of Janelle's prophecy that she worried that Cody and Robin might go off together, riding off into the sunset all those seasons ago when Robin first came into the family. Now, Cody says he has just been through 3 divorces and he shuddered at the idea of marrying again and the pain it would put he and Robin through. He isn't interested in this, and he says it's been a very difficult 3 years. And Cody says he would never want to do polygamy again. The realization he has had since he has talked to his brothers is that polygamy kills emotional intimacy. And he says it makes everybody defensive. And he says he really wants an emotionally vulnerable, intimate relationship with a woman, and you aren't ever going to get that in polygamy. You're also not going to get it if you're a toxic, abusive shitbag. Part of the problem is polygamy is not really the healthiest way to live. I'm sure you can do it functionally. You can find ways to make it function, but it's not the easiest way to live. I would never want to fucking do it. But there are ways to do it that are functional, that are more healthy. And if Cody was a different kind of man and a different kind of husband, if Cody kept his promises to these 4 wives, if he respected these women and he did his best to treat them like equals and invest in them equally, regardless of the fact that Robin was his soulmate, it would have been less destructive for the women and the whole family. There was a way for Cody to pursue monogamy with Robin in a less destructive way. It still may have hurt, it still may have caused suffering and pain, but there was a way for Cody to stay on good terms with his family. There was a way for Cody to take accountability, to be honest with it, and to stay steadfast in keeping good relationships with his kids. But Cody chose to be a toxic, abusive shitbag. That does it for this episode. I'll be back next week with the next episode of Sister Wives Season 19, Episode 13, Give Up the Ghost. Christine gets to experience finding her dream wedding dress, and Robin Spawn talked to the goblin about wanting to return to their church to court guys in their church. Frankly, if Aurora or Brianna enter into polygamy, there is probably no woman on the planet who would gladly want to be their sister wives. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and all those 2 have ever seen modeled to them is their mother's toxic AF, manipulative behavior. They have seen how their mother perceives and deals with her now ex-sister wives, how she prioritizes herself over the larger family, and how she uses her emotions to deflect and manipulate and make everything about herself. So I think those girls would behave the exact same way as their mother does in a polygamous situation, in my opinion. And it looks like they seem very interested in following their mother's footsteps, and I don't think it's going to be very pretty. Anyways, thank you for listening, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.